Alright, here we are at long last. The gunmetal update has finally released, and now I can live my life as a box spy, crying over the fact that Snake is still not in Smash Bros. 4. And as I sit here, I feel as if I've forgotten something. It's probably something little. As good as it is to backstab people in the long-lost CP snowplow as Metal Gear Spee, something still doesn't feel right about it. Maybe it's the fact that this map should have been out 6 months ago. Maybe it's indigestion. Maybe it's the fact that this pyro is going out of his way to try and kill me. Damn it. Wait a minute. I remember now. I had a Little Mac video to do, didn't I? But what about the new update? What the hell. At least I can transition the best way possible. As a communist!
Come on, I don't have all day.
Little Mac. Champion boxer, main character of the Punch-Out series, and as of this current iteration of Smash, fan favorite fighter. For the longest time, this little guy was considered the undeniable king of 4 glory, almost everyone wanting to use him thanks to his incredible speed and power. However, this didn't seem to last long, as the first official patch on the 3DS nerfed Little Mac and led to many players quickly abandoning him in favor of other characters. Preferably easier to learn characters such as Yoshi and Zero Skill Suit Samus. This new patch was the official balancing of the game when Smash Wii U launched, and thanks to the nerf of the Jolt Haymaker, Smash Wii U's 4 Glory mode was almost completely free of Little Macs. If the nerf wasn't enough, players had quickly discovered ways to handle Little Mac players, which was namely baiting an edge grab to an easy gimp to take advantage of Little Mac having the worst recovery skills in all of Smash. This news spread fast, and soon enough everybody was making a laughingstock out of Mac players, thrusting Little Mac into the bottom tier standing and making him a character you basically had to be insane to play as in a serious match. So here we sit, almost 8 months after the launch of Smash Wii U, and Little Mac's standings as of now really haven't changed. A few positive notes from Zero have given people a bit of incentive to give him a chance, but to this day very few people use Little Mac unless trying to take on other Little Macs. But when all of this is said and done, is Little Mac really as bad as people say he is? Or is there way more to him than a lot of the Jolt Haymaker off the cliff players made him out to be? Well, I think it's time we truly find out, as I'm FeliciaFan444 and I welcome you all back to Underbrawl, a series in which we take a look at some of Smash's underwhelming characters and see if they truly have what it takes to stand with the best of the best. With this video, we're going to delve into and dissect everything about Little Mac's character, from his basic strengths and weaknesses to some advanced tips on how to make this character perform even better than normal. No custom moves will be used in this video, as it will only focus on Vanilla Mac and what he has to offer. This is not going to be easy knowing Little Mac's track record, but I think that such a character deserves a chance to get his moment in the spotlight. Let's go. Little Mac, as a character, is incredibly straightforward in both practice and execution. He's designed to be that of a very rooted ground fighter that can dish out a ton of damage very fast with his very quick and powerful moves, all of which have very little cooldown. However, to counteract this, his recovery and aerial attack game is easily Smash's worst, so once you're off stage, you're more than likely to be a goner. This kind of style has seen quite a variety of reactions/opinions from fans, some saying it's useful and empowering, while some say it's a hindrance on the player, as a lot of the characters spend more time in the air than on the ground, and a lot of Little Mac's attacks knock the opponent upward, where Little Mac has very few options for following up. While both sides have their own points, what neither party realizes is how exactly Little Mac's playstyle is supposed to function. The common majority will say he's all about rushdown and applying pressure like characters such as Sonic or Captain Falcon. While it's easy to see why a lot of players would think that based on Little Mac's strengths and weaknesses, it's quite a ways off from the way Little Mac's actually meant to be played. Lil Mac's actual playstyle is incredibly patient and defensive, punishing mistakes with fast blows and weaving around opponents as you look for openings. If anything, Lil Mac should never be the one to throw the first punch, but rather dodge the first punch and follow up with an even harder punch. This kind of playstyle keeps Lil Mac very true to the game he originally came from, where your main goal was to defeat boxers by countering their moves with your own. If you just keep punching and swinging, you're going to lose, and the same can be said for Smash as well. With a playstyle like this, Lil Mac needs a lot of useful tools to get a leg up on his opponent, and thankfully Lil Mac is packed to the brim with useful attacks that are either fast, do a ton of damage, or both. The first major tool in Lil Mac's repertoire is his incredibly fast down tilt, an arcing hook that aims straight for the opponent's shins. This attack has literally no cooldown and will knock your opponent off their feet and into the air. At low percentages, this attack is very useful for follow-ups, as Lil Mac can combo down tilt into all of his smash attacks as well as his other jabs. Even some of his special moves as well. However, the biggest strength that this move has comes with using this attack in conjunction with Lil Mac's greatest weapon, the KO uppercut. This attack alone is hard to pull off, especially since a lot of players can see it coming and dodge out of the way. However, a pop from the down tilt will leave them open long enough for you to unleash a KO uppercut with little to no issue. If the down tilt doesn't work for you, using it either out of shield or when the opponent is shielding is a prime time to use this attack, especially since this attack ignored shields completely. Aside from his down tilt, both his side tilt and up tilt are quite useful as well, both having their own strengths and both being incredibly fast. The forward tilt is a 2-hit jab combo that sends opponents flying at decent percentages, working excellent out of shield or when trying to punish players that like to roll. While the up tilt is a quick upper hook that hits on both sides of Lil Mac, hitting the opponent into the air. This and down tilt are two of the best setups for Lil Mac's rising uppercuts, which can act as a great finishing move if you get your opponent close to the top of the screen with it at high to mid percentages. The rising uppercut is also very good out of shield, or sidestep, to catch the opponent off guard. As for Lil Mac's smash attacks, they all have their own uses, as they are all incredibly fast, powerful, and layered with super armor. Up smash and down smash are more reliable, but forward smash is still a prime KO move to use when punishing an opponent. Down smash will cover both sides of Mac rather quickly, although its startup is slightly slower than either of his other smash attacks. With both sides covered and armor piled on top, his attack is very useful for edge guarding, as you can take a ledge attack from your opponent and possibly deliver a KO in return if their damage is high enough. Forward and up smash are punishing tools, both of which come out fast, so they are great out of shield, and both of which can be set up after a down tilt. Forward smash can be aimed in 3 different directions with 3 different effects. One to aim the opponent high into the sky with the least damage, a straight punch with medium damage, and a high damaging low punch that doesn't have much knockback. In most regards, a down forward smash out of down tilt and medium percent can put most characters in KO territory for Lil Mac. And of course, it's also armored in case your opponent tries to hit you with an aerial after the down tilt. The up smash has the advantage of being Lil Mac's fastest smash attack, hitting in a wide arc for a ton of damage. This attack also has the advantage of being used as a surprise attack out of a dash, like most up smashes, and is surprisingly safe on shield as it can push opponents away from the force of the attack, making it more reliable when rushing someone down in your dash attack. The last of Lil Mac's useful attacks is his always trusty down B, cross counter. Let's just call it counter. Yeah, anyways, this attack will let Lil Mac take an attack, then rush right back at his opponent with a powerful counter attack. Dudley would certainly be proud. Anyways, this attack, while useful, can also be a hindrance if used at the wrong times, such as when close to a ledge, as the counter will send you jetting off the stage, and you may not be able to recover back onto the stage since you have a very subpar recovery. However, it can be used the other way around as well, helping Lil Mac get back to the stage more reliably than his standard recovery. While this tactic is useful, using it multiple times in a row is not recommended, as opponents will eventually read your strategy and let you fall to your death. With all of that covered, you now know the ins and outs of the majority of Lil Max's useful tools. However, there is one that I've yet to cover. Since it's a very important attack, I'm putting it in its own segment. This attack has been both the saving grace and pitiful end of a lot of Lil Mac players. Now, learning how to use it properly is a very important part of mastering Lil Mac. That attack is, of course, Lil Mac's side B, the Jolt Haymaker. The Jolt Haymaker is a lunging punch that is one of Lil Mac's strongest advancing tools, as well as being his worst at the same time. While this attack is very useful in helping Lil Mac aim close to projectile zoners, many players often underestimate how much ground this attack can actually cover, and also that you can't exactly act out of it off stage. This has led many fans to dub this move a suicide attack, as rookie Lil Mac players have basically made a name for themselves by plummeting to their death, all because they didn't understand how the attack works. However, when not being used to achieve an early grave, the Jolt Haymaker is an incredibly strong attack with some pretty good priority, especially when it comes to ignoring projectiles. But now the question is, how does one use this attack properly? And I'm glad you asked. To use the Jolt Haymaker properly, you need to know your limits. Limit number 1, the Jolt Haymaker's length. The Jolt Haymaker covers roughly 50% of the stage in a single leap, it only taking 2 leaps to get from one edge of the stage to the other. With this amount of distance covered, it doesn't take much to mess up your trajectory and send yourself careening into the abyss if you're careless. The idea with this attack is always remember where you are on the stage and always think twice before you use it. If you're more than 20% off from the center of the stage, you're guaranteed to kill yourself with this attack. Limit number 2. Which direction are you facing? You always need to make sure that if you're using the Jolt Haymaker from an unsafe distance, that you're not using it in the direction of the edge of the stage. You can use this attack in the opposite direction, even while dashing, so you have no excuse for killing yourself with this attack. The sudden direction change may even throw off opponents, but don't try to use it too often or they'll easily catch on to what you're trying to do. Other than that, it's best to use this attack when your opponent backs you into a corner and your back is literally to the edge of the stage. With that, you can quickly get the jump on them and deal out some decent damage. Limit number 3. Ain't no Airmaker, Mac. The Jolt Haymaker's range is incredibly short when used in the air, it taking a total of 3 Airmakers to cover the full range of a Final Destination stage. This attack's range was apparently better when the game originally came out, but a nerf cut the attack's range by 10% in the air, which leads to something else, which is this attack being one of Lil Mac's better recovery tools. It helps Lil Mac in recovering horizontally, but the overall chances of it working when knocked far off stage isn't really low. That, and this attack has a slow startup in the air, usually resulting in opponents being able to get in and gimp you before the punch goes off. With this, it's usually best to recover via rising uppercut from below if you can manage it. If you can't, then simply go for broke and hope you can make it back. With these 3 tips, you should be able to manage using the Jolt Haymaker successfully. This attack is fun to use and most opponents aren't fast enough to shield the attack when used on startup, but just make sure you use it sparingly to avoid punishment. With this, let's move on to something even more important for Lil Mac players, and that's breaking the mold. What does that mean? You'll see it in just a moment. To be an effective Lil Mac player, you need to break out of, or for you beginners, not follow, the patterns a lot of Lil Mac players tend to use because they don't know anything about the character they're using. Now, I'm not talking about sending yourself off the cliff with Jolt Haymaker, as that's something we've already covered, so there's nothing left to talk about on that topic. No, what I'm talking about is that a lot of Lil Mac players will follow a specific pattern when playing. And it's through these patterns that a lot of players have learned how to easily deal with Lil Mac. This section is dedicated to preventing you from becoming a For Glory Mac. and will teach you everything you need to know when it comes to stage placement, best options for each part of the stage, and more. Let's start with some quick things you shouldn't do when playing Mac in any serious game. Number 1. It's not safe on shield. One of the most common Little Mac traits is that a lot of For Glory Macs will usually rush right for the opponent to deal out a quick dash attack. While Little Mac's dash is fast and does hit decently hard, this attack is incredibly unsafe on shield, and as a result, this will usually result in Little Mac being subjugated to his biggest overall weakness, edge grabs. With this, a player can easily throw Mac off the stage and gimp him so he can't come back, which usually results in a quick KO on Mac and a gigantic lead for the opponent. Well, I'm going to help you avoid this situation. The first thing to remember is that, again, dash attack isn't safe on shield, and that this attack shouldn't be used when making a beeline from far away, as most opponents will be expecting that dash attack. If anything, this attack is better out of short dashes, as its speed can catch opponents off guard quite easily. A second thing to keep in mind here is that you should always try and stay close to the center of the stage, as it's literally the safest place in terms of being launched in either direction. And since you're Little Mac, you should always do anything you can to ensure a better recovery. Lastly, if you want to throw off opponents for expecting the For Glory Mac introduction, rush at them and go for a grab instead of an actual attack. This will catch their predictable shield off guard and punish them for it. Also, using shield to instantly stop your movement from small distance away and hitting them with a down tilt is also a possible strategy. Number 2. Be the attack E, not the attack R. This may sound a bit odd at first, but allow me to explain what I mean. What this generally means is that you are a character better suited for patient play and punishment. So of course it should be fitting that you should let the opponent come to you as opposed to going towards your opponent. Since this is now your role as a character, you should let your opponent make the first move, or shall I say, first mistake. You wait out their first attack, you punish it, play to your strengths, and in the end you'll succeed. You're like a Wobbuffet boxer. A Waboxer. What? Anyways, the only time you should really try rushing on opponents is when trying to capitalize on a punish, and literally nothing else. As stated before, being on the offensive Little Mac is incredibly predictable, because even though you have strong tools, almost everybody knows what those tools do and how to counter them when they can predict/see them coming. Like in Punch-Out, an all-out punching fest will usually leave you exhausted and down for the count. There's a time and place for everything. Never use the straight lunge. Literally, ever. There's very few moves I will ever say are moves you should never use under any circumstances, as most moves have their time and place to be useful, even if they're awful. However, Little Mac's Standard B is one of the few exceptions to this rule. This Standard B will lock you in a charge you cannot cancel, cannot act out of quickly, cannot shield out of, is not safe on shield, and the cooldown on this move is phenomenal. And if that wasn't enough for you, this move also doesn't give you any range when used in the air. This move is an all or nothing move that is predictable, easily countered, easy to see coming, and all around awful. For Glory Macs will actually use this move and think it will get them an easy KO thanks to its insane knockback. But an easy sidestep or counter can easily ruin their day. Whatever you do, don't use this move. Pretend this is Smash 64 and there's only 3 special moves if it makes you feel any better. Just don't use this attack, you'll thank me later. With these notes, you're well on your way to avoiding For Glory Mac mistakes and showing the true potential that Little Mac has to offer. It's amazing how only a few things can determine a really good and really bad Little Mac player. But they do mean a lot, so please do try and practice stage placement and overall defensive game. Don't roll spam though, I do not promote that. With that, there's not much left to cover when it comes to Little Mac. especially since it's quite apparent that Lil Mac has a terrible aerial game in recovery. However, I do have a few extra tips to give, so let's get to them right away. Since Lil Mac is such a straightforward character, there's not really much to him in terms of advanced mechanics. Although fun exploits like Lil Mac's neutral air jab of death are great, they're not exactly something a lot of people can use effectively, let alone in a competitive match. However, there are a few more useful tactics a Lil Mac player can utilize on his journey to become the king of the ring. Lil Mac's aerials are actually good for something. Lil Mac's aerials suck. It's no secret to anyone. However, while they are bad, they're not unusable, like that of the straight lunge. The only real aerial you're going to want to use in this case is Lil Mac's forward aerial, a sweeping aerial hook that does a bit of knockback and, believe it or not, isn't that bad of an edgeguard weapon. When around 130%, a single tap for this attack will usually knock characters with average decent recoveries to the doom, possibly even earlier for certain characters. This attack is decently fast, so it can catch opponents off guard, because nobody ever expects a Lil Mac player to actually go and hit players from the aerial. Well, unless they're beginners, but only using it once in a blue moon will certainly make it an unexpected surprise. If that wasn't enough for you, the overall low damage and knockback of this attack would usually result in very little punishment if it gets countered. How great is that? I guess Lil Mac can be an air fighter if he tries, huh? The unexpected 180 Haymaker. Lil Mac is definitely not a character for mind games, but he's certainly a character that can easily lead his opponent into a nasty situation if he tries playing to his weaknesses, which is his air game. A Lil Mac can usually taunt an opponent into the air near the ledge, since most opponents will more than likely take the taunt, as they know they can easily mess this up for Lil Mac and come out on top since his aerials are terrible. They won't see the next thing coming. A quick 180 Haymaker is a dangerous weapon, and if used with an extra V to speed up the punch, many opponents can take tons of damage or even get KO'd by it at higher percentages. Do not use this attack more than twice in a match, however, as players will more than likely try and predict or try to get you to KO for yourself with it. And last, but certainly not least, Lil Mac has a wall jump. While on recovery, it's useful to remember that Lil Mac is a character with an ability known as a wall jump, or basically a third jump if done off of a wall. A lot of characters such as Mario, Captain Falcon, and Samus all have this kind of ability. Even some are even able to cling to the walls, such as Lucario and Greninja. With this, your wall jump can usually be the last thing you need in order to recover from off stage. This third jump greatly increases Lil Mac's recovery skills from down below, and is something that rarely any Lil Mac uses, or possibly even know about. In order to use a wall jump and tilt your analog stick in the direction adjacent to the wall. This timing may be tricky, so I recommend a bit of practice when using this ability. With these 3 tips, you can certainly take your opponents by surprise. I mean, come on, a Lil Mac that can recover near the bottom of the screen? Get out of here, never gonna happen, am I right? Well, it can happen, and it should help encourage more Lil Mac play. With that, let's move on to the final assessment. Lil Mac is a really fast and brutal powerhouse who can dish out damage faster than any other character in the game when he's on the ground. But he suffers greatly when it comes to recovering, aerial fighting, and overall survivability, as Lil Mac's weight class is very low. However, while these sound like incredibly painful downsides, Lil Mac does have some uses for his aerials, and if he plays smart, he certainly won't be losing that easily. For Lil Mac, well, he can deal so much damage so fast and be a pretty hard character to counter if he's played properly, I feel barely misses the mid-tier standings, being marked as a high low-tier character. This makes Lil Mac something he was always intended to be, an underdog. Lil Mac has always been the lone man out, the one everyone expected to accomplish, never expected to accomplish anything. always being looked down on by his opponents as an easily beaten wimp. Lil Mac has always been and will always be an underdog, and it's because of that honestly, I don't want to recommend any buffs. Making Lil Mac a character that can easily beat down any character just doesn't fit him, as strange as it sounds. Lil Mac is a character that should remain in a status of working for a victory, as opposed to the whole zero skill Samus style of mash the same combo over again to win because I have no skill. I know a lot will disagree, but that is just my personal thought on Lil Mac and where he belongs. If anything, I think they can negate the whole 10% loss in the aerial Haymaker and leave the character alone from there. So to answer the major question, is Lil Mac as bad as people say he is? No, he's definitely not. He's certainly still not one of the best characters in the game, but he's certainly not one of the game's absolute worst either. Give Lil Mac a chance, and maybe, just maybe, you might be the one winning and becoming a new champ of Smash. And with that, the video is over, and I can return to Team Fortress 2 just as soon as we're about to win the round 2 with stellar timing. The Box Spy is the victor, vote for Snake in Smash 4, it's time for nothing but TF2 fun.
Build your teleport out, upgrade it.
Oh wait, I have the Mewtwo video to do this month. A bunch of others planned for the upcoming months as well. Well, I suppose if that's the case, I'd better get to work. Well, everyone, I've been Felicia Fanful for 4 in a Box. I'll see you all next time for a psycho-powered episode of Underdog. Thank you for watching. Vote Snake in Smash 4.